we will start with that story now. The story when you had near-death experience.
Yes, so this was in my early days again. I think this was in 2001 or 2000. It was quite an event, and I think I'm one of the living examples of how grace works and how Gurudev directly can enhance and influence life by itself. So this happened back in 2000, I think. I was at my brother's wedding reception, and all of a sudden in the evening, out of the blue, there was no prior indication. I have no ill health, no nothing at all. And one evening, I saw my whole right side of the face deviated like this on one side. So we realized there is something wrong. I flew to Chennai straight away and got admitted into the hospital the same night. And within a few hours, Digvijay, by middle of the night, my whole body went into paralysis from kind of head to toe. I could not move my hands, I could not move my legs, I could not move my back, I could not move my neck. And I was in the hospital, middle of the night. The entire body went into a full paralysis into it. And it was diagnosed as Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is apparently a very rare virus and very rare in the intensity that I received of that virus. And yes, I mentioned this very briefly back in that time in a YouTube video, which is, I believe, is being circulated quite a lot. But what really happened was also, while the body was paralyzed, the virus started attacking, shutting down all the other important functions of my body as well. For example, it went into my optic nerve, so I could not see anymore. I lost sight. Then it impacted my throat muscles, so I could not drink anymore. I couldn't swallow my own saliva anymore. And so the doctors knew that it's a rapid deterioration. And finally, the biggest impact was that the virus finally attacked my respiratory muscles. So my heart stopped and my pulse stopped, and I had a flat line. And that was quite, and imagine this is all medically documented. So going to that flat line, but my brain was still active, and I was pretty much declared dead. And my uncle in those days, who facilitated my journey in art of living, he passed away many years ago in Delhi. He called Gurudev and said, and Gurudev was in Germany at that time. And he called Gurudev. Apparently what we heard from the devotees in Germany who were around him at that time, that Gurudev was having having food or dinner or something, and he just stopped and he went and stood near the phone. And the phone rings, and my uncle goes, Gurudev, and Guruji, before even hearing anything else, asks, "Haan, kya hua hai Dushyant ko? What happened to Dushyant?" And my uncle said, Gurudev, he's no more. He just passed away, and he had this virus. And Gurudev said, "Kuch nahi hoga usse. Main hu na. Abhi to usse bahut kaam karna hai." And I feel very fortunate that I had work to do, so he kept me back for a little longer. But he pretty much said that to my uncle, "Kuch nahi hoga usse. Main hu na. Abhi to usse bahut kaam karna hai." So my uncle said, "Kya kare fir Gurudev?" And he said, "हाँ, उसको बोलो, उसके कान में जाके बोलो, ओम नमः शिवाय चैंट करने के लिए, जाप करने के लिए, ask him to chant Om Namah Shivaya, and wake up everybody you can, ask everybody to chant Om Namah Shivaya." So my uncle put down the phone, Gurudev goes into his room. That's all people from Germany could tell us many months later when they found out that I was the guy. And on this side, my uncle called up back to the hospital, to my family, and they said, Gurudev has said nothing will happen to him. Go to him and tell him in his ears, Gurudev has said to chant Om Namah Shivaya. So that is happening in the physical world around me. When I say around me, around my body. And on my side now, it was quite an interesting experience. It's almost like I popped out of the body. It was like a popcorn. It gets heated and it just flies out from the pan. It was a similar experience on my side, which I didn't share 20 years ago when I did, almost 20 years ago when I did that first near-death experience video. So I want to share a little more, which is not there in that video. So I kind of popped out, and popping out, I'm seeing my own body on the floor, which is quite astonishing and an experience by itself. And I'm looking at everything, but looking at nothing at the same time. It's very hard to explain that I'm everywhere, but nowhere. I'm seeing everything, but really not seeing anything. I feel like I have a body, but I don't have a body. I mean, it's just very weird. It is quite a strange, quite a strange experience. In fact, after that, only I lost. I don't have a fear of death anymore, because the other side is beautiful. There's nothing to fear about, and especially when you have a guru in life, you absolutely have nothing to worry about. You will see him there first before you see anybody else, and he'll take you and safely keep you where you need to be, with all the love and all the wisdom that you've gained. So to me, it was pretty much I jumped out. I can kind of, it's very ethereal. You're there, you're not there. I don't even know how to explain, but it was quite a powerful experience. And then I found myself seeing some people, I don't recognize them, and then I kind of not walking, but like you stand in an escalator and you're moving, but you're moving, but you're not walking. So it was a similar experience of being there and moving but not moving. It's like hard to describe these things. And then I all of a sudden heard a voice of Gurudev, and he said, Om Namah Shivaya chant karo, or just that, the chant Om Namah Shivaya. And I heard that voice, and I kind of startled that how am I hearing voice when it is so silent? And I knew that that's him. And he said, "Kuch nahi hoga, tumhe bahut kaam baki hai." I heard all of that too. I guess I was listening to his phone, somehow tapped into that phones in some way. So I started chanting Om Namah Shivaya. Now bear in mind, I feel like I have a body, but I don't have a body. So I felt like something like a wheel, like a Sudarshan Chakra only, so something like a wheel. It started rotating as I started chanting. And at one point, the wheel started rotating so fast. I couldn't even, all I could see is a very large wheel rotating in front of me then, and boom, there is a massive golden light. And there's a flash of golden light, and the next thing I see is I'm back in my body. And quite a few minutes have passed here, and doctors are running around and trying to pump. They put me on a ventilator and they try to pump and do this. This is the last final few efforts. In fact, I still remember my family also signed, my ex-wife at that time, she was my fiance, she also signed a document, I believe, to consent to extend the time that I was on the ventilator, because I was not breathing anymore, so they kind of were pumping me to breathe, but they said, you can't do it for beyond a certain time. They said, no, just keep doing, because Gurudev has said he will be back. So it was quite astonishing. So I came back. I'm now inside my body again, and I started moving my fingers, and I can physically feel my body, and I know I'm back. I'm not there, but I'm here now. and I slightly moved my finger, my fingers moved. Then I tried to move my legs toes moved. Then I moved my shoulders a bit, that moved. I tried to swallow a little saliva, I could swallow it. I still have Ryle's tube stuck into my nose for them to inject fluid into my body. And they'd done blood transfusion in the meantime and all sorts of things medically that they were trying to do. And there were 4 or 5 senior doctors, from heart to oncologists to all sorts of people, all sorts of doctors and nurses flying around. And what really happened is, at that point we came, I kind of knew I could move, so I kind of sat up with some support of my hands. I just sat up lying down. So when I sat up, all the doctors, they actually took 3-4 steps back, because they could not understand, this guy is flatlined. We are trying to recover, and he kind of moves around and he kind of waves his hand and he sits up. And they could not understand what was happening. So they might have assumed it's a ghost. And then I turned my head around and I said, I need some water. And they said, no, your throat is paralyzed. You can't drink water like that. I said, no, I'm fine. So I asked them to pull the Ryle's tube out, and I drank a glass of water. And within 7 days, I fully recovered. I walked out of the hospital without any stretcher or any assistance or any aid. And a few weeks later, I was in Delhi, and Gurudev was, and this part actually nobody knows, or some people, or maybe I've shared it before. So I met him in Delhi a few weeks later. I was still a little weak and still trying to recover from the impact. So Gurudev was in his room. I walked into his room and I said, Gurudev, thank you so much. And Gurudev said, "Haan, kya ho gaya tha? Kya hua tha tujhe? What happened to you?" And I said, Gurudev, I had that Guillain-Barré syndrome, and it fully paralyzed me and flatlined me also. And Gurudev, thank you so much that you brought me back again, and I'm back because of you. And look, I mean, I've said this before. I said, look at the humbleness in a soul, creating the largest living miracle. He has the ability to say, I didn't do it. That no sense of doership in him was so profound for me to be in a space and see it like that he's saying, "Arey, मैंने तो कुछ नहीं किया, शायद वो मंत्र काम कर गया होगा. I didn't do anything. Maybe that mantra might have worked. The Om Namah Shivaya worked." And he started laughing. And I'm thinking in my head that, we do so little in our life. And we make claims all our life, including wanting a statue of our name and having our name engraved in the wall for donating some money. But look at the simplicity of a Sadguru. He can create the biggest miracle on life and still not take any credit for it whatsoever. He said, no, it was not me, it was something else. And then a few weeks later, I was traveling with him for a while also, and we came to Chennai for a satsang, and he asked me to share the experience. And hundreds and thousands of people, those days I was still very young and a little naughty. So I got on the stage and, I got my limelight and all that thing. And so I'm kind of sharing this whole experience that, Gurudev did this and did that. And then when I finished sharing the experience, he said 2 things, which I think is so relevant to what is happening during this coronavirus pandemic today. 2 things he shared. He said, it is not that I created this miracle. There are 2 reasons. One, that doing Sudarshan Kriya for such a long time, the impact the body gets from it, the ability of the body to heal, and the ability of the consciousness to heal. He's been doing Sudarshan Kriya for so long. how can a virus take him like that? So he said, one, that doing Sudarshan Kriya enhances our ability to fight the virus so hard. And yes, there are so many laws beyond why death happens, but our natural ability to fight a virus, fight diseases, is strengthened, and kind of that is what creates our ability to fight diseases. So one message was that do your Sudarshan Kriya, because it assists you in your fight with your diseases, no matter what it is. So I'm saying now, we have Guillain-Barré syndrome kind of a virus, and I could recover from that so fast. And like I said many times, the disease is not that you won't fall sick. Disease is how quickly you can recover from whatever happens to you. How well is your body prepared? How well oxygenated it is, and how well your immune system is defined through the state of mind and through breathing and meditation that assists in strengthening our immune system to fight no matter what comes. That was first thing about doing Sudarshan Kriya, and how that has a real impact in a very subtle way in our consciousness to fight no matter what comes in our life. And second bit of it was, he said, and also there is one-pointedness devotion. The devotion to serve, the devotion to do more, the devotion to the master also adds a lot of fuel in what happens in your life as well. He had also this one-pointedness focus to do more, to do seva, to be ambitious to do seva and serve. That also brought him back. So these are the two things. One, in this pandemic also, as we are going through it, there is enormous crisis around the world. Economical crisis, marital crisis have risen, and health crisis have risen. Unemployment has risen. But I can tell you, being a witness of that event 20 years ago, what keeps us all going is, one, do not miss your meditation, do not miss your sadhana and kriya, because that is what gives us the ability, the strength to fight no matter what comes in our life, physical, mental or emotional, and also keep your focus to serve. The focus to serve has strengthened our consciousness and strengthens us together, and we're guided by Gurudev so extremely well, where to go, what to do. So we need to take more opportunity. All of us need to become humanitarians and do more for humanity. That is the call of the master. That is what he's taught us for so many years, and we need to give him our shoulders so that he can do more while he's on this earth with us.
Yeah. But I think this is not the only healing experience, no? Miraculous healing experience. There was one more time when you had your shoulder dislocated or something.
Yes. There's another thing that happened back in 2006. I think I did all my medical examination.